Sasha Vindman, rejected by voters, made a fool of, some would say. I would say. By the way, welcome back to the beta test for people who've been watching the past few days. Got a lot to say about Sasha Vindman, Alexander. Just want to make sure everything is working here properly. We're testing some new features and functions today. I'm back on the High Line. Love to be here. You know, I want to announce that it's a beta test because for people who don't want to participate, you're certainly not required. The show is free, and you know, anybody who objects to anything that I'm doing is free not to participate. It's funny, there's a lot of people who I really do appreciate. They sponsor the show on subscribestar.com. Look at this, no progress whatsoever on this stairwell here. But lots of people sponsor the show on subscribestar.com or patreon.com/crowdsourcethetruth. Other people are doing that on crowdsourcethetruth.substack.com. It's a wonderful way to keep the show going and keep all these wonderful innovations, not just 4K. You've got to be watching on one of these sponsored channels or on one of the YouTube channels. Oh, we're running hot today. That's interesting. I know why that is. We'll see if that becomes a problem. First of all, it's hotter outside. And when I say beta test, there's a lot of things being tested right now. I'm very confident that there's nobody who's doing quite exactly what I'm doing. And it could fail at any moment. So if that's going to annoy you, I'm sorry. But there's no progress without intermittent failure. And it is quite hot today. It's certainly 85 or so. Got a message from this guy. It's never the people who sponsor the show. They're very supportive, and I've gotten a lot of messages from people who say they love the 4K, they love the high res, they love seeing in front of me with this inset while I, you know, regale everyone in my personal opinions. You might disagree with any of them. That's certainly your prerogative. But there's this guy, what's his name? Uncle Stiltskin, Crumple Stiltskin, something stupid, giving me his unsolicited advice. He has no idea what I'm doing. He says, oh, but I'm a video engineer. And so, you don't know what I've got going on over here. It's just so presumptuous that someone would think that they should tell me what to do and say, oh, you're never going to be able to do a mobile 4K live stream, pointing out to me where there are failures in the broadcast. That's potentially helpful, but he doesn't even know what he's looking at. So today what we're testing is live. I am live. If you want a live chat with me, ask me anything at all. The best way to do that, because I can only look at one chat at a time, really. Good afternoon, PJK7603. Welcome to the Jason Goodman YouTube channel, only recently restored back in April after a years-long legal battle with YouTube. So thank you for watching there. That's the only chat I'm really going to be able to look at. Well, I could try to look at, are we live on X? Because see, the other thing, we are. The other thing that we're testing today is a real-time transcoding process where we're 4K on YouTube and on Patreon and Subscribestar and Substack. But of course, X and BitChute and Rumble, they can't support 4K, so real-time live transcoding to HD on those channels. That took a lot of doing because you can't just stick 4K into an HD thing over there and have it work. So I'm testing a lot of things. Feedback is appreciated. Obnoxious criticism and negativity from people using fake names is not Uncle Fester or Uncle Crumple, Stiltskin, whatever your name is. Anyway, the point of today is Sasha Vindman. He lost. In case you didn't know, he was in a primary for Senate. He was running for Senate in where? Florida. And so I don't even know if a Democrat is going to win in Florida, right? It's pretty, right? I mean, is it a Democrat now? Who is he going against? I should know that, but I've been more focused on little Sasha than I have the race overall. Did people see my phone call with him a ways back? I'm going to play that right now in case people haven't seen it.
Hello.
Sasha, привет, как дела?
So that's a good way to start a conversation.
It's Alexander Vindman, or no?
Who's calling?
I'm trying to find evidence that you worked for Lawfare for 40 hours per week when they paid you $171,000 after you testified against Trump. Do you have that evidence?
Of course, it's public.
How
Go
is
ahead
it
and take a
public?
look.
I don't think you actually worked for them, and even if you did, they are violating multiple laws. It's important that we get to the bottom of this.
But why don't you take a look at the press releases and everything else?
Can you be involved in an interview with me where we can go over all this stuff? Because if I'm wrong,
Who is you? Who is you? You don't even didn't offer a name.
Oh, forgive me. It's Jason Goodman. Crowdsource the truth.
Jason Goodman. From where?
Crowdsource the truth.
Crowdsource. Okay. I'll take your word for it.
What do you mean? Take my word for what? That I am who I am, or that there's no proof that you worked for?
I've never heard of this organization. But I'll do this for you. You know, I have never met. You're started the conversation problematically, but I could answer a couple of questions for you very quickly.
Sure.
Why don't you go ahead?
Well, so the Lawfare
And I'm sure you're recording
Institute
this.
that you were paid for.
Are you recording this?
Do you want me to record it? I can do
I
that.
just want to know if you're recording it or not, just to start.
Yeah, I'm recording it because I think you're a liar, and I think that you should have been
you didn't even announce
court-martialed.
that.
I don't need to announce that. I don't need to announce that.
Go ahead.
Sasha.
Go ahead. Let me answer your questions.
Okay, so the Lawfare Institute, which was run by Ben Wittes and has received payments both to his home, where it is registered as a public nonprofit, that's a violation right there. So anybody receiving money from them
so far, none
is
of
in
that's
trouble.
true, but okay, go ahead.
You doubt that that's true? That is true, okay?
Okay,
he
keep
also,
going.
in 2019...
What's the question? You haven't asked
the
the
question
yet.
is, I want to know about your involvement in the framing of the 45th President of the United States of America. I believe you've received money from the same corrupt organizations that paid Joe Biden and his crackhead son. And I think you've lied when you testified against Trump.
Another lie.
Because he called Zelensky to find out about this corruption.
You recall that I was a career military officer,
traitor.
Not even in any news cycle beforehand, working.
Yes. I think you and your twin brother are deep state operatives who are planted into the military.
You know what?
You
should track down Trevor Noah's. You should track down Trevor Noah's baby spy routine. That might be a good thing to play for your program. It'd be just as comical as what you're saying. So where's the question?
Weren't you offered the position of Defense Minister of Ukraine while you were in the U.S. Army? Is that true or false?
Did I not attest to this and report it immediately?
You did.
As per any guidance?
And isn't it true that as a member of the U.S. military, you are subordinate to the Commander-in-Chief and that your opinion of his actions are irrelevant, that you take orders, and that what you did by testifying in your uniform was treason? You're a traitor and you should have been court-martialed for that?
That's a lie.
Why is that a lie? That might not be correct, but it's not a lie. You seem nervous.
And the Commander-in-Chief, but just so you know, I am still obligated to report criminal wrongdoing,
but
corruption.
It wasn't criminal wrongdoing. He was calling and saying, you guys are sending money to Joe Biden and his crackhead son. I need you to look into it.
No, that's wrong. There is no substance to this. These are false.
And Andrew Weissman and all of these other people who are in league with you, you guys are in a lot of trouble.
Who is that?
You don't know who Andrew Weissman is?
I don't know who these names are.
You don't know who Andrew Weissman is?
I don't think so.
You don't know who Andrew Weissman is? The lead prosecutor on the Mueller investigation? You're a liar.
Nope. No, don't know who he is. Last question. That was a freebie. Yeah, that was a freebie.
You seem really nervous for an Army, whatever the hell you are, Lieutenant Colonel.
Yeah, you know why?
You're
because
a traitor,
you're a knucklehead.
Alexander. I'm a knucklehead?
You're spewing absolute disinformation. But
no,
you see how
this is
I'm
all
giving
true.
You the courtesy
okay,
disinformation. No,
so
you're a liar.
Not a liar. Am I a liar that the Lawfare Foundation?
This conversation's over. Bye.
So there we go. He says, I'm a knucklehead and a liar. that was Sasha Vindman there. So let's just address some of what he said. He said that it's no problem that the Lawfare Institute, by the way, here's Crumple Stiltskin. If you don't like it, just go away. He's been blocked on other channels already. You know, if there's interruptions, it bothers him. So Why are you watching? Guy's a pain in the ass, and he's here to just be a pain in the ass. So here's the thing. Benjamin Wittes sets up a nonprofit 501c3 that sometimes receives payments to a P.O. box, which could be all right. You know, they have an office, maybe the office moves and they want a consistent P.O. box. So for whatever reason, they're allowed to do that. The issue is when a public nonprofit is registered at the director's house, that raises red flags. Maybe it's not strictly illegal, but it's certainly a red flag for fraud. And there are other problems with this Lawfare Institute that go unanswered. Now, he said he never received any money, but so let's take a look at the Lawfare Institute. Now, I have the 990s here. I think this is it. Is this it? Yeah, this is a 990. I've redacted Ben Wittes' home address so that he can't, you know, strike the video or anything like that. It was, the director at this time was a guy named David Priest. There were actually 2 years that Sasha, little bitch boy, Vindman, received over $150,000. He got something like $170,000. There he is. Sasha Vindman says 40 hours a week, 157 plus 14, $170,000. And then you see that guy, David Priest, right above him. He's also getting a six-figure salary. So Sasha says he received no money and that it's public that he worked for this thing. Well, it is true that there was a public press release saying that he'd been hired there, but I see no evidence that he worked there 40 hours per week for the year. Now, look, it might not be illegal. They might say that's a mistake that they filed that there, but why was he given this money? You can't just use a nonprofit as a funnel for tax-exempt contributions to people who lie on the stand. Now, it's my opinion that he was part of a larger scheme to, you know, entrap Trump in this whole phone call issue where Trump was on the phone with Zelensky. You know, it's not everybody who gets to be on the phone with Zelensky. So Sasha was very adamant about telling us that he's a lieutenant colonel, lieutenant commander. I don't know, forgive me, I'm not in the military, and I am not in any way diminishing legitimate military service. But I am minimizing his service because I got a lot of questions about it, and I'm just not sure that anything about him is legitimate. I think there are certainly instances where intelligence agencies might seek out certain people for certain reasons and insert them into particular roles. So one of the things about Vindman is they say that he was in Iraq in 2004 and he was an infantryman and he suffered an injury. I don't know what that injury is. And again, I'm not trying to minimize. Injuries are bad. Permanent injuries could cause him a great deal of discomfort. And certainly there are people who have been seriously injured. Going to war is dangerous. But my question is there anyone, you know, just because you were in the military, it doesn't give you a pass to then become a lifelong criminal grifter who gets hundreds of thousands of tax-exempt dollars to potentially set up the rightly elected president of the United States. That's a problem, in my opinion, if that's what's going on. So there was this whole testimony in Congress that Sasha participated in. Let's listen to this.
Can you tell us in 30 seconds why you're wearing a Purple Heart?
In 2014, in the ramp up to probably the largest urban operation in decades outside of Fallujah, we were conducting a reconnaissance patrol in conjunction with the Marines, and my
cooler turned off. That's a bad sign. Is the battery on the cooler dead? Oh no. There, it's back. Let's see if we can keep the cooler going. That would... Nervous. Oh, see, it says please stand by. I hope we come back. We might have lost signal and overheated. Darn. It says please stand by. Well, I did say it was a beta test. Ah, we're back. Okay. Let's see if we can keep the cooler going. Yeah, I think we were in a little bit of an overheat there. The cooler had shut down. Oh, see, it says please stand by. Okay. Just monitoring this system here. Forgive me, that is a bit annoying, but it's better than the stream completely cutting out, which is what it would do without that system in place. So I think we might have missed little Sasha's interview in Congress there. Oh no, there it is. Did people get to hear that? What he basically said to us is that he was injured in Fallujah in 2014. But that's wrong. He wasn't in Fallujah in 2014. He was in Fallujah, according to this, in 2004. Now that's a normal mistake to make, but here's Alexander Vindman, pudgy little douche, early life, military career. There, you see. So this is the thing. October 2004, he's injured, but then he stays in Iraq and continues his service until September 2005. It seems like it must have been not that serious of an injury if he was able to carry on with his military service. Again, not to diminish the danger and whatever might have been going on there, but it's all very shady. We don't seem to know what it is. I mean, most of these ex-military guys that I see, they look like they could crack walnuts in their fists. And Sasha looks like a couch potato. I just wonder to what extent this decorated military history is authentic. Have we ever heard from anyone who served with Sasha Vindman in Fallujah? Do we know if what he's saying is true or if it's a concoction? Yeah, I saw it cut out, thanks. But, you know, everybody got, it was basically just me fretting over it cutting out, the part that people missed. And look, eventually, if it cuts out too frequently and people are annoyed by the recovery method, then perhaps this won't work. But like I said, it's a beta test. We've identified some pretty rough areas where the mobile network is not strong. And I am doing something else today that's intended to improve it. Well, so InfoFax is asking about Burisma and Hunter Biden. I mean, again, I don't have any evidence that he was necessarily directly paid by Burisma, but what I'm talking about is a network of organizations that are essentially aligned to do the same thing. Launder payments to individuals that are doing things that are not the types of things that are supposed to be done. So let's see, are we having more connectivity problems? So I'm deliberately walking through the roughest areas where I know there are network problems to test the strength of the measures that I have in place to prevent those problems. And the hope is we'll have very few dropouts like that, and when they are there, it'll be a short little thing and it'll come right back. But in this case, he's not paid by Burisma. We have that 990 that shows that he was paid by the Lawfare Institute, which is definitely a anti-Trump, pro-Joe Biden, I say, intelligence cutout. Now that guy David Priest, who I showed everybody was the director of the thing on the 990, he comes right out and tells you that he is a former intelligence guy. Let's see, what have we got here? I have his Twitter. Is this it? Yeah, there he is. So he's changed it. There he is with another deep state scumbag, George Herbert Walker Bush. And then he says intelligence on there now. He used to come right out and tell you that he was ex-CIA. I don't know about you. I don't think there's any ex-CIA. They're in the ground and in jail, as far as I can tell. No, wait a minute. Whoops. Why are we not able to get back to... Well, let's see. Gotta try to reconnect here. We lost the camera. Bear with me, folks. See, when beta testing, these kinds of things happen. Oh man, that's rough. Why is that happening? Maybe this thing disconnected from the network. Yes, it did. Ah, you see, this somehow got an AT&T intruded. Do not auto-join. It somehow is set to auto-join AT&T. I don't want it to do that. That ripped me off of my existing network. So bear with me, folks. See, there's all kinds of things that can tear you away from the network. Huh. Oh, that pulled them all off the network. That's bad. Okay, so